Hello, you're watching Avenue X, and this is the final review of the second season of the drama Under the Skin, 猎罪图鉴. A couple of weeks ago, I made my first impression video of the second season of this drama, and I said if I have more to say about it, I will make a second video, and that is this video. I still maintain what I said about this drama in my first video. It is better than what I afraid it might become. And compared to the season 1, the things that made me like the drama, I think a lot of that got lost in the second season. Right now, it's at the stage where I can accept it has a second season that I don't like that much. And then, honestly, it might as well just not have third season. But if they do, I will still watch it. So in this video, I'm gonna go through all the things I have problems with the second season of the drama. Before that, I wanna find a really generalized metaphor for the second season. The main creatives, meaning the directors and writers, the people who are deciding what the stories would be. They are like a stepmother to the IP Under the Skin that was created by the first season team. They're actually very responsible mother, but it's just they're not familiar with the kid. She couldn't take care of the kid as well as the biological mother. That's what it reads like to me. I did, for making this video, rewatch the season 1 again very quickly, trying to figure out why the first season reads just so much better. And I do think I kind of figured out quite a few points, so I'm gonna talk about them. Starting with point 0. This is not even point 1, just point 0. I want to talk about the ending, the very last scene. I cannot describe how weird I felt. That scene that kind of looked like it was added at the very end just so that it hooks people to a potential third season, and we don't know if it's gonna happen. So they have the similar ending of season 1 where a painting gets cut open and you see there's a hidden one, and it's kind of showing you Shen Yi's past, might be some mystery entangled in that. In second season, when it opens up, you immediately find out it's his dream. The second season ending, when Du Cheng gets stabbed, I'm pretty sure it's either a dream or some kind of storytelling. They're having fun at a birthday party and telling each other, or another type of metaphor or whatever, or it could be a real stabbing case, but actually it's not 7 years ago Shen Yi stabbing him, it's somebody else who somehow triggers his illusion in his head. Does not matter. If they have a third season, pretty much I'm sure they're gonna start the story where there's a case ongoing, everybody is just fine, and they're gonna come back and explain what happened in the alley. First, when I saw that scene, I broke out laughing. I had a brain scene of this drama during the years after I've watched the drama that looked pretty much exactly like that. Given it's in a different environment, it's not in a small dark alley, it's on a broad big street, but everything else that happened in the scene is pretty much exactly how I imagined it. So when I saw that scene, I'm like, no way the world is a real place. We live in a holographic projection of some types of Earth Online game version point whatever, and I'm not real, you're not real. It confirms that to me. But the other thing is I found it so heavy-handed, they did it that way. Even when they're trying to hook in people, it just feels more clumsy in the second season than the first one. And pretty much everything, I think, the best word you can describe second season and first season difference is the second season is a lot more clumsier and clunkier. That's point 0. Now let's actually get to the points that I've listed about the second season of Under the Skin that I think have problems. Point number 1, second season main creative team has less of a taste for beauty in everything. That includes anything you can see and anything you can hear. Costume of main characters, how you establish a new scene, how you shoot the architecture, how you shoot the natural environment, what lighting, what kind of plants, foreground, background, how you edit a scene together, how you introduce music, what type of music you pick for what type of scene. Everything considered, the aesthetic taste of the second season is lesser than the first season. One of the best selling points of season 1 is it's quite pretty, and it's a crime drama. But then it's quite pretty compared to the usual crime dramas you see anywhere. The second season kind of just forgot about it. Or they tried. I feel they really tried to imitate certain shots and styles they have created in season 1, but it just didn't capture the essence. Specific examples. Second season Shen Yi's outfit, let's be honest, is a lot uglier than what he had in season 1. Also, I think it's just sponsorship that they changed Du Cheng's ride. Season 1, his car is sexual attraction 120 points. and season 2 is like -20. I mean, just put these two cars, all right? Just look at them. Like, which one looks sexier? Even though physically the actor actually got into better shape in season 2, the car has just killed everything. And remember how many shots in season 1 where he gets off his car and then slam the door in all kinds of different framing and angles, and it looks so cool. And you edit them together, you immediately get like he's this type of physically very strong leader of a detective team. You don't get that in season 2 anymore. You remember in season 1 there are multiple sequences where it does not necessarily immediately was worried about getting into a plot, talking about a case or something. Establishing, for example, in the morning the character wakes up, preparation they have for the day, and the sunshine is coming in, camera language, the lighting, the colors, it actually creates this really nice atmosphere and background for the character. You remember a couple of sequences in season 1, even after a couple of years, about how well they established that. Really just gives you the sense of beauty, but you don't get that in season 2. Another example I would say is if you look at certain shots where there are a lot of people. For example, in the police station when 5, 6, 7, 8 people come together having meetings, talking in a room. Season 1 tends to have this very clear look of they've designed the lighting for that moment and then how everybody blocks so that visually that white shot of everybody just looks really pretty. You don't get that in season 2. Like I said, it's the stepmother who really tried hard to give the kid the best, but she doesn't know when the kid was created what was even like the motivation behind it. So she could only try to imitate what the biological mother did, but couldn't really understand where it comes from. Second point, to do with technicality. Here I would say mostly to do with shooting the drama and editing it. More to do with how you frame everything within a frame and then how you edit different shots and angles together. When I watch the second season, I constantly want to move their camera, where they just frame people at this weird position where you want to nudge the camera just a little bit left, a little bit right, a little bit down, so that they are situated comfortably in the frame. Particularly when there are multiple people and the shot is a little bit wider, it tends to have this weird head spacing at a really uncomfortable place. You either come down more, even cut off the very top of the character's head, just show their face and this part, or you give a lot of space that intentionally sets this space up that people immediately get the idea like you want to cram the characters into a corner at the bottom of the frame to create certain atmosphere. But in this second season, often you have this just about at the weird space where you feel they're not sure whether they should give it more space or give it less space, so they're like caught in the middle. The headspace of so many shots that just makes me go, just move the camera a little bit, come on. And you don't have that problem of season 1. I never actually noticed weird head spacing when I was watching, and I've watched the drama multiple times. And sometimes within a frame's design of how you shoot it, I don't think they're as good as season 1. In season 1, you actually see a lot of very intentionally designed foreground, midground, background, pull focus between two characters in one moment, and why you do it. It has very clear intention of doing it. You just don't get as much season 2. There's another thing. Constantly, I feel, when I watch second season, a lot of scenes have the problem of editing at the wrong moment. It's like listen to a song that is missing all its beats. You should cut now, they wait 2 more seconds and cut to a different angle, but that's already off. It's like the actors are holding out the moments of acting a little bit too long. It needs to get cut, but it didn't. And everybody is like suddenly frozen and not knowing what to do. And because copyright stuff, I cannot play a sequence here and just like talk through it, like explaining why the beat is odd. It needs to get cut here, but they cut it there. I trust my audiences. Like, you have taste and you have watched enough dramas. Particularly if you watch season 1 and season 2 back to back, you're easily gonna find a lot of those sequences in the drama where the cutting point is odd. So that's another point to do with the technicality that may not bother a lot of people but bother me like hell. In order of severity, right? I list it as the second point. Third point, very unfortunately, the use and function of drawing, painting, and Shen Yi's almost superpower of being able to do all the magical things he did in season 1, that can be traced back to first real life policemen who do that. Second, making sense, like showing you the sequences of how he does all those things, using his talent and technique in painting to break cases. Those specific things almost got completely left out in season 2. In season 1, you see multiple different types of ways he can use his abilities, from drawing a tiny speckle, a pixel on a monitor of a CCTV footage of a person, recreate their face, to drawing different people and then reduce that down to bone structure and overlay them and see if it's actually somebody using prosthetics and pretending to be other people, such as seeing a kid and projecting what the kid will look like when she becomes an adult, minus all the features of her mother's, and end up with guessing what her biological father would look like. Like, you see so many different ways he can use his skills, and it just gives you this spectacular exhibition of, in real life, what this type of policeman can do. And obviously there's a level of dramatization and idealization and probably romanticizing it, but overall it still comes down to step by step how things get done, and they pay a lot of attention to drawing, to how it gets done, the artwork and the process and how they shoot it with camera. It's the hidden third main character. You just don't have that in season 2 anymore. Now, given they have established a lot of the things people do with this profession, and Shen Yi does, so they don't need to repeat that in second season, but I think it's still an important part of this whole IP. Yet in season 2 you hardly see that. You see him drawing stuff, and he uses the excuse of, I am no longer satisfied with just drawing physical likeness, I want to draw the person's heart and emotion, and that goes into very dangerous territory of whatever I say, whatever scriptwriter says, because it's feeling, it's the personality of the person that I want to draw, like good luck, physically putting it on the paper. And it went too far that direction and forgotten that it's still based on physical reality of light and shadows and three-dimensional space and things you can see with your eyeballs. It starts to make Shen Yi's ability too not relatable, but also losing the interest, the details of the fun things people like to watch of crime investigation drama, which is step-by-step detailed analysis of things, how you arrive at the conclusion. It's hard science way of looking at crime. This becomes almost like a religious and mental projection way of looking at crimes, and it becomes totally in the mental space. And if you watch again 2 seasons back to back, it just looks too different. It's almost like it's forgetting what the IP was first founded on. Again, stepmother and kid situation. Not to mention, actually things contradict each other in 2 seasons. For example, in season 1, Shen Yi emphasized that a person's face stops growing at about age 25, where your bone structure finally finalizes. And from 20 to 25, you actually go through a pretty big change. And that's why he found out that the person actually did plastic surgery. She's not a real person, she pretends to be because her face didn't change. And in season 2, you hear him say the face stops growing at 18. It's like the same character in 2 seasons and contradict himself. In the second season, creative people don't know characters and IP in the world setting of the first season well enough, detailed enough, so they literally make that kind of mistakes. Also, because it starts to go down the psychological mental space thing, it forgot a lot of exciting things you can do with painting and drawing. For example, the last case of first season, Shen Yi literally did the comic of what happened to Du Cheng that night, and using that to figure out the video they saw was faked with AI and what really happened that night during the fight between him and the assassin. That sequence was so exciting to watch. It did multiple functions for the storytelling. Point 1 is showing you what exactly happened that night when Du Cheng arrived on the scene and then start a fight with that assassin, and then M drops from the ceiling and dies. Because before that scene, the whole drama never gave you a full sequence and run through of exactly what happened that night. So it's always mystery. And you want to know what exactly happened to him so that he had to kind of fake the scene. Function 1 is it finally gives you that payoff that everybody is waiting for. Second, it explains it really clearly about why you can arrive at the conclusion that this whole video they got was like AI generated. It's not reality. reality. The third thing is, while the fighting is ongoing, Shen Yi comes into the scene. He's like a bystander. He's observing in the same space at time, which didn't happen. But as an artist, he's like the eye looking at a sequence. So they shoot it where he is in the space with those two people fighting. So visually, it's interesting. It's like using visual storytelling's natural advantage to kind of give you an exciting sequence. So when you finish watching that whole sequence, when he was in the police station, putting out his drawings and telling you, and then they shoot the actual fight and he is in the fight, right? It's just such a clever and brilliant way of incorporate everything into telling a visual story. You don't get that at all any type in that sense in season 2. So I'm saying aesthetic wise, storytelling wise, understanding how to use visual and maximize its potential, everything considered, the second season main creative team is just not as good as the first one. Then the two most important points, they're kind of the same thing, but I'm trying to still like categorize them. Point 4, which is I worried it's gonna become too weird. The cases are weird, the way it gets broken are weird, Shen Yi acts weird, it goes to the zone of woo-woo too much. It kind of happened. And I think they just lean too heavily on Shen Yi, this character. They pretty much forgot everybody else exists, including Du Cheng. So he's not really doing much at the end of the whole drama, right? Just apart from getting stabbed and not making sense. Shen Yi is the master of everything, right? He has this long sequence of acting opposite Tang Zeng, who is actually a classmate of Jin Shijia, where he's trying to make the guy confess that he is the guy who designed that stage play of dead people placing weird thing. I mean, the actor did a great job. Tan Jian's performance is perfect. Tang Zeng's performance is perfect too. But the thing is, it's odd. Like for writers to write that kind of sequence, you do have to remember Shen Yi is still a policeman. He did go through police schools and get trained. And he's working as a policeman in that moment. His professional identity in that moment is why he's there, questioning potential suspect. And it starts to suddenly become a theater of, I feel like the writers is having too much fun with Shen Yi's almost natural criminal super ability if he chose to be, and such a narcissist way of writing characters. The balance between reality and a little bit sort of dramatized reality of Under the Skin is completely sort of like flopped in that scene. You also have later the completely not making sense. Why suddenly Shen Yi just becomes so attracted and interested in Zheng Yunlong's character just because they're both like what naturally can see things. One is like in people and paint their personality. The other is I see DNA. I'm like, come on, like that's just like so out there. Come back, come back. The story needs to still get grounded. And this whole forced weird triangle between Shen Yi and Zheng Yunlong's character, Fang, whatever scientist, and then Du Cheng, the policeman, right? That intentionally set up getting jealous in the triangle. I'm like, okay, stop there. Too much. And they actually never really established why Shen Yi should feel so attracted to this guy. I mean, just because he bought your painting, really? It doesn't look like you're two similar people, really, in any sense. You kind of like feel each other's buzz, like you're both like a little bit psychologically unstable and weird and talented. I mean, that's not enough reason to sell this sudden interest and Shen Yi's affinity towards this character. And in terms of forced thing, we get to the last point, which I don't necessarily think it's the most important thing. I still think the most important thing is they are too obsessed about spectacular things that are unusual, things that are too magical that they forgot it's realistically setting crime drama at the end of the day. That's the biggest problem of the second season. But let's say a huge point for me, and I believe for everybody who wants to even go into second season to watch this drama, is CP, is shipping. Like, we shipped these two guys in first season, let's be honest. So we want to see what's the second stage. Unfortunately, they really didn't do a good job. I have a lot of complaints about that part, so let's go through them. If we want to very summarizingly say what is the biggest problem of the writing of the two main characters' relationship of season 2 of Under the Skin, every shippable points, plot points, interaction moments that this season sets up feels forced. It does not flow organically between two characters who you know them through the first 20 episodes. It's also not based on a natural progression of in each specific case. At this point, what could happen that may be fun, to watch. You can have clever bantering. You can have really funny physical interactions. It flows with the plot. It calls back certain things you've seen season one. Like, those are the best thing you can have in this type of drama, and you wish the scriptwriters could be really good at doing it. They didn't do a good job. And they know audiences want to watch it, and they also know they need to have it, but they don't know how to write it well. So every time you have a beat like that, you're like, yeah, I know you're trying to do that functional scene of their relationship, but holy shit, that quarrel, that fight is so fake. It starts to get embarrassing and a bit awkward. Let's do a couple of examples. In season 1, those moments are everywhere and they flow really nicely. You don't even notice it happened, and it just happened, and you kind of literally catch it after it has happened and you start laughing. For example, the taking of the champagne glass and drink and put it away. Like, it shocked a lot of people, but because it happened so naturally between the actors and nobody is seeing it coming, so when it happened, it's like almost like it should happen in reality like that, and nobody is really paying that much attention. But then you stop and you think about it and you're like, oh, shippable. Such as during the art student case early on in season 1. Great examples about how you add in very shippable moments between two lead characters that's completely naturally situated in the case-breaking plot. There is the scene where Shen Yi is sitting on the steps of the high school's basketball court and doing drawings and thinking, and Du Cheng comes in from behind him and sits a couple of steps away from him, so they're naturally in that space, and there are kids playing basketball and they're talking, so Shen Yi naturally turns away. He's not looking ahead. A ball comes to him, and because Du Cheng's direction is facing the court, so he could see it, and also he's the sports and physical guy, so when the ball comes in, he just naturally, takes the ball away, and then the kids even would say, oh, thank you. And then they continue talking about the case and the drawing they're doing. It flows very naturally, yet everybody just go back and re-loop that moment of the basketball, because everybody ships that. And with those little moments, you build up over the episodes, and eventually at the end of episode 20, like, 你是我的底牌. Like, that's how you do it the right way. The actors also play it in a very relaxed and natural way, and they're not forcing weird words coming out of each other that sounds like a Chong Yao novel. Yet in second season, you first don't get any of those naturally flowing, very organically incorporated into plot moment. It all feels like it just get added on the end. And then not to mention the super embarrassing 27 and 28. So 27, they have this sequence before like the ending is gonna come out at their new whatever location, because the old location they can't use anymore, and Du Cheng comes in from the back asking him something, and literally when they are still in conversation, it cuts to the next scene where they're already sitting on the floor, like sitting facing opposite direction like they did at the end of season 1 when they had that talk about you are my 底牌, right? Totally trying to call back even the position of how they're sitting of that moment of season 1, but it's so forced. That is a space where there is no agreed rule previously about if you're here, it's totally normal and okay to suddenly sit down on the floor and in that way. If you look at how that sequence happened in season 1, first, the abandoned building by the ocean was already a kind of secret rendezvous point for the two characters, and also because of the painting of Lei Dui. On the wall, it has special meaning, and Shen Yi often goes there. He always goes there for the past how many years. Early on, when he was sitting on the floor by the edge and got kicked over and fell into the water, so that place, in a way, if you sit on the concrete, it is already established as a normal way of using that space. And then if you look at the sequence of how they ended up being there, Du Cheng, the character, was standing, Shen Yi comes from the back, they talk about what is really the plan ongoing. And then you have a very wide shot that pulls away from them. You see both of them standing as tiny figures in the building, and it signals they started talking and time has passed for a while. Then you cut back, they are in close-up and they're sitting in that way and they're talking about their plan. But because first you get signaled that it's normal to sit like that in this space. Second, it is a special place that has meaning for both of them. Third, you have that white shot is already establishing some time has passed and they have talked about a lot of things. Now we are at the point where we want you to watch what is going on with their dialogue. Nothing is weird about that sequence. But if you look at season 2, when they did that sitting position, None of that exists. There's no established rule of the space. Nobody knows what that space is for. There's no setup of something has been happening for a while. Maybe they've been talking for half an hour and they're tired and now they're sitting down. It's just literally one shot after another. They suddenly are sitting down and, I mean, normal people don't do that. And it's awkward. And clearly you see it's a heavy-handed move of trying to copy the first season and not really understanding how it's working. When you get to episode 28, last but 3 scene, so you have the stabbing scene, which is weird. You have the DNA profiling scene before that in the police station. And then you have the scene between these two characters where I feel like they're both so heavily burdened with the task. Now we have to wrap up season 2 and move on to our new relationship. And we have to literally say it out. Now we have moved our relationship to the second stage where I'm the kite, you're the person holding the string, and I'm the pencil point of the compass and you are the leg. I'm like, Jesus. Contemporary, real humans, grown-ups, don't talk to each other like that. It's so awkward. Like, have you ever seen two real human beings? It's like, I am the pencil point and you are the leg of the compass. What are you trying to... Huh? If it's 70s, like 1970s, 琼瑶 romantic novel, in that world setting, okay, it makes sense because 琼瑶 always speaks like that, and everybody knows 琼瑶 story is like that. So it's normal for 琼瑶 characters to speak those over-the-top, metaphorical, huge paragraphs, but normal people to policemen in contemporary world, they'd rather eat bullets than speak to each other like that. Now, I feel really bad for the two actors, and then I'm really impressed. They literally hypnotize themselves to believe that that's a naturally flowing dialogue, and they were just standing there awkwardly, finish the whole long sequence of like God knows what bad writing talk. They literally stood there until like from dark till dawn. Like, I don't know how long that's gonna take, but at least 40 minutes. And I can't imagine if that kind of conversation is happening between two grown real world men and they were like literally standing there and there's nobody else and they're just like waiting for the sun to rise for 40 minutes with that conversation lingering in the atmosphere. Holy shit. I would be sweating like a pig and then all my goosebumps will be falling on the ground and pile up like literally in the physical shape that you can see. I might even have a heart attack right on spot and die there. Really impressed by Jin Shixia and Tan Jiansen being able to actually act through that scene and be okay. But I don't think it's an enjoyable, naturally flowing scene, and I don't think the actors would actually have fun with it. So awkward. So, at the end of this video, this is what I can think of season 2. If there would ever be a season 3, I'll still watch it. But if it doesn't happen, I honestly wouldn't have too much of a problem. I really like the two characters in the story space. In my head, I can write scripts for them forever. I don't need them to make me a third season if it's still gonna be this awkward. As for those two actors, I mean, they have plenty of projects waiting to show up. Both of them, new dramas, different characters. I don't worry about their future. They're both doing very, very well. I've had fun watching the High Saturday show on Hunan that just happened over the weekend, which is really for them to promote the drama. And I think those are enough. And honestly, if the third season is gonna be of the same quality of the second season in writing particularly, then I don't necessarily want to have a third season. And it will be really embarrassing to watch those two actors who I like, both of them, like playing it out and feeling awkward. So that should be the end of this final review on the second season of Under the Skin. I will not make edits on the second season just because it's... I'd rather go back and rewatch season 1 and watch my own edits. If you haven't seen them, you know, you should. They're good. That should be the end of this video. Thank you for watching Avenue X. I'll see you in my next video. Meanwhile, live long and happy drama watching.